Hello guys, today I'm gonna show you how to profile your Sitecore application when it's running on a Docker container. And I'm using .trace from JetBrains, that I think is one of the better tools for troubleshooting performance and to search for bottlenecks on your code. And also in this example, I'm using the Lighthouse demo that is now available in the Sitecore container registry. I wrote a post about it some days back, where I'm explaining how to make it up and running locally. It's really easy, and it's a good start for people that wants to get into the containers. Okay, so let's start. First, we need to go into our demo folder. In my case, I'm using just a default installation, so it's Sitecore demo platform folder. And then you need to search for the Docker Compose override YAML. As we want to profile the CD instance, then we search for the CD configuration. And then what we need to do here is to add the new ports for binding the 9100 into the same in local. And this is the port where the remote agent will be listening to. Okay, so we save this file, and now we can compose again -d. This will take some time. As you can see, I'm using the Docker plugin in Visual Code. It gives you some useful things, like you can attach easily a shell, you can inspect the containers, etc. In the meantime, let me open .trace, and also for the purpose of this demo, what I did here in the Sitecore demo code, I put a slow code here. As you can see, this is here spending more than 3 seconds. So of course, I'm expecting this to be a bottleneck when I'm running this code. So what I'm expecting from .trace is to drive me to this code here saying that there is a bottleneck or something that we need to pay attention to. So this is already here. Normally we were using the attached running applications or profile the local application and then the IIS. What we need to do now for the containers is to use the profile remote app option. And for that, what we need is to copy the .trace remote agent into the Docker container. As you can see here, there is a link to the agent. Yeah, here. So what we need to do is just to unzip the file. Okay. And then we need just to copy all those contents into the Docker container. Let's check here. This is still spinning up the containers. So let's wait a bit until this is done. Okay, so this is already finished. All the containers are up and running. Again, with this tool, we can, for example, inspect and make sure that we have our ports here exposed. So it's here, that's fine. This is what we need to attach the remote agent. Okay, so next step is to copy all the contents that I mentioned before from the remote agent that .trace provides into the container. For doing that, we can use the Docker copy option. So we need to copy all the contents to and then we can use the container ID or name. I'm using the name because it's easier. Not like that. Yes. And then remote agent. Okay, if you get this exception, means you need to stop the container. So let's do that with the container name. Cool, so now we can try to copy again, and now, yeah, now it works. So now we can start the container, and then let's make sure that the file, I mean the folder is copied into the container. As as I mentioned, I'm using the Visual Code extension, so I can just browse the container and check here the files, and as you can see, the remote agent is there. So perfect. Next step is to start, I mean to execute the file, the executable file that we copied from the remote agent. So we can open a PowerShell here, so we can also attach a shell using this shortcut from the tool. We go to the root folder and then remote agent, and then we just execute the remote agent. As you can see now, the remote agent is loading, I mean it's running, and it's in the TCP here with the port 9100 that we can use for the profiling. Okay, so let's go to the CD instance locally, and let's wait for this to load. So now we have our website up and running, as you can see here. So let's go back to the .trace, and now we can use the localhost 9100 for the remote agent and connect to it. If everything went fine, then it should be enough and able to connect to our remote agent on the Docker container. Here we go. So now we're connected to the remote agent. We can use the sampling or timeline modes if we are using the W3 WP process, or we can also use the IIS with the different options. I'm not explaining here how to use .trace, but just to give a quick overview, the sampling is the easier way to find where the bottleneck is coming from. It's not the most accurate one. If you want to get better results and optimal, you need to use the tracing, and then you have the more advanced one that it's line by line. In that case, it's useful if you already know where the bottleneck is coming from, so you can just check the line by line code. If I'm using this one and the sampling, and then I prefer to uncheck the collect profiling from start, so you have more control over when you want to start the snapshot. So let's run it. Let's wait for the profiler to load. You can see we are profiling this process here. So let's refresh the page, and normally it should go until the code I showed before here, the slow me function here, that it's taking 3 seconds. Let's get back. Okay, so we can now start to profiling. We refresh the page, we wait until this is finished, and then we get the snapshot and wait. We can keep it open if you want to take another snapshot. So let's wait until this is processed and opened. And let's wait for this to load. Depending on the size, it will take more or less time. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's see what is going on here. We can see already that this is the code we are checking. Experience data is taking some time, and you can see here the on-site behavior repository is Lomi. As you can see here, the datetime is the code that I showed you before. It's this one. So here we go. We already found where the bottleneck is coming from in our application. Of course, next is to do some better analysis and check how to fix it. That's very much it. I hope it helps you on profiling your Docker containers Sitecore instances. Thank you very much.